You probably don't hear this often, but let me say it right up front, getting older isn't always graceful, especially when it comes to the parts of your body that no one else sees. And by the time you're in your 80s, well, let's just say a few things start to happen down there that no one warns you about, not your doctor, not the pamphlets, not even your friends. That's exactly why this conversation matters so much. Because even though society tends to whisper about aging in shadows, your body deserves to be understood, and that includes your most personal areas. Now I know, just hearing the words, private parts, in a video might make you shift in your seat or raise an eyebrow. But stay with me. This isn't about being crude or inappropriate. This is about being honest, respectful, and helpful. Because what happens to your private parts, how they feel, how they function, how they change, affects so much more than just your body. It touches how you walk, how you sleep, how you feel in your clothes, how you show up for yourself. It's about confidence, dignity, independence. And believe it or not, it's about connection too, the connection you have to your body, and maybe even to someone you love. So in this video, 5 very real, very common changes that happen to your private parts as you age, especially after 80. And yes, I mean whether you like it or not. Because here's the truth, these changes are normal. But they're not always talked about, and they're definitely not always managed well. So today, we'll explore them together, gently, openly, without shame. I'll share real-life stories, the simple science behind what's happening, and most importantly, what you can actually do to feel better, stay in control, and live with a little more ease. Let's start with something that sneaks up quietly for many people, dryness, thinning, and irritation. Whether you're male or female, this one can catch you off guard. I remember speaking with an 82-year-old woman named Helen. She said one day, her favorite pair of cotton underwear suddenly felt like sandpaper. No new detergent, no change in habits, just this constant, uncomfortable friction. For men, it can feel like tightness, sensitivity, or even redness you can't explain. These aren't just random annoyances, they're signs your skin and mucous membranes are changing. Estrogen and testosterone levels drop significantly with age, especially past 80, and that affects the soft tissue in your genital area. Skin gets thinner. Lubrication drops. And suddenly, everyday sensations can feel sharp or raw instead of gentle. Now, the mistake most people make is thinking, well, this must mean I'm doing something wrong, or worse, it's just part of getting old, there's nothing I can do. But let me pause you right there. That's just not true. There are things you can do. You can switch to gentle, unscented soaps, or better yet, stop using soap on those areas altogether and opt for warm water rinses only. You can use protective barrier creams or unscented moisturizers, especially after bathing. And if you're comfortable, it's worth speaking to your doctor about topical estrogen or other treatments that can help restore the tissue. There's no shame in asking for relief. You wouldn't walk around with a paper cut for weeks, would you? Your private parts deserve the same care. But there's more, because when tissues start thinning, and dryness becomes a daily issue, it often leads to the second change most people over 80 experience, loss of bladder control. Leaks. Dribbles. Urgency that hits when you least expect it. And I want you to know, if that's been happening to you, you're not dirty, you're not broken, and you're definitely not alone. I remember Harold, 85, sharp as a tack, who told me he started skipping his morning walks because he was too afraid of having an accident at the park. That broke my heart. Because when something as basic as bladder control steals your joy, it's time we stop whispering and start helping. So let's talk about it. The muscles that support your bladder and bowels, your pelvic floor, naturally weaken with age. For men, prostate changes often add pressure. For women, past childbirth and hormonal changes play a big role. It's incredibly common. But again, common doesn't mean untreatable. And the big myth? That your only option is to just wear pads or stay home more. No. You deserve better. There are simple things you can do right now to strengthen those muscles. Pelvic floor exercises, sometimes called Kegels, work wonders when done consistently. Even if you're sitting in a chair, you can gently squeeze and hold the muscles you'd use to stop the flow of urine. Just hold for 5 seconds, then release. Do it 5 times a day. That's it. You can also try bladder training, which means gradually increasing the time between bathroom visits to build control. And of course, cut back on bladder irritants like caffeine, alcohol, and artificial sweeteners. You'd be amazed how much of a difference those little shifts can make. We'll keep going in just a moment, but if this is already sparking something in you, if you're thinking, why didn't anyone tell me this? Then I invite you to stick around. There's more to share, and it's all meant to empower you. And if you want to stay part of conversations like this, real, respectful, and refreshingly honest, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Here on Everyday Ageless, we talk about the parts of aging that no one else will, with kindness, truth, and a whole lot of heart. Let's gently step into a topic that can stir up more than just questions, it often stirs emotions too. I'm talking about the changes in your sexual desire and function as you age. And yes, that includes you, even in your 80s. Because the truth is, intimacy doesn't retire, but it does evolve. And sometimes, that evolution can feel confusing, frustrating, or even heartbreaking. But it doesn't have to stay that way. I remember sitting across from a woman named Alice, 84, proudly independent, a widow for over a decade. She looked me in the eye and said, "I still feel like a woman. But my body doesn't always seem to remember." That stuck with me. Because what she meant, and what so many of you have likely felt, is that your desire doesn't always disappear. Sometimes it lingers quietly, or returns in waves, or shows up differently than it used to. And sometimes the desire is there, but the physical response? Not so much. This is normal. It's human. As hormone levels dip, especially estrogen and testosterone, your body responds. For women, arousal might take longer, and lubrication may be reduced. The vaginal walls can become thinner, leading to discomfort. For men, erections might not be as firm, or as predictable, or may take longer to achieve. And in both cases, stimulation might feel different. Not bad, not broken, just different. Now, here's where the emotional layer comes in. Because when your body changes like this, it can make you question your identity. Am I still attractive? Still wanted? Still capable of connecting in that way? You might even pull away from intimacy out of fear or embarrassment. And that's understandable. But I want to gently remind you of something. Intimacy isn't just about mechanics. It's about closeness, presence, trust. And if there's someone in your life, a partner, a friend, even yourself, who deserves that connection, it's worth nurturing in whatever way works for you now. A lot of people assume that if their sex life changes, it's the end. But the truth is, you can still have a deeply satisfying intimate connection at any age, even if it looks different from what it did at 40 or 50. And there are simple, respectful things you can do to support that. Use warm, water-based lubricants to ease dryness or discomfort. Take your time. Focus on touch, closeness, warmth, not performance. Explore gentle intimacy without pressure. And if needed, speak to a professional. Not because you're broken, but because you're willing to invest in your own joy. One gentleman I spoke to, George, 87, told me that after a long dry spell, he and his wife found new ways to connect by simply holding hands during their favorite shows, or giving each other 5-minute back rubs before bed. It made me feel like we were dating again, he said. Beautiful, right? That's the kind of spark that never goes out unless we let it. Now, I also want to mention something else. Something that often rides quietly alongside these changes, especially when people don't talk about it. Shame. You might feel it in little moments, when your body doesn't respond like it used to, or when you avoid mirrors, or when you hesitate to share what you're going through. And I want to be very clear with you, shame has no place here. Aging is not something to hide from. It's not dirty. It's not shameful. It's the most natural process there is. And when you speak about it, even if just with yourself, you take your power back. Now let's take a pause. Maybe you've already felt some of these shifts. Maybe you've avoided thinking about them altogether. Wherever you are on this journey, I want you to know that understanding these changes is a form of self-respect. And learning how to work with your body, instead of against it, is a gift you give not just to yourself, but to everyone who cares about you. Coming up in, something even more surprising, the increased risk of infections and irritation in your private areas, why it happens, and what you can do about it without running straight to antibiotics every time. There's a lot of misunderstanding around this one, but it's important. Because the better you care for that area, the healthier your entire system becomes. Let's talk now about something that might surprise you. How your risk of irritation and infections down there rises significantly as you age, and why that matters more than you might think. A lot of people chalk these things up to just another part of getting old, but what they don't realize is that small irritations can quickly lead to bigger problems, and that many of them are actually preventable, with the right care and awareness. I want to introduce you to a man named Thomas. Thomas is 86, a retired school principal, sharp-witted and always curious. But for several months, he kept getting up 5, 6, sometimes 7 times a night to use the bathroom. He brushed it off at first, figured it was just age catching up. But then he started experiencing burning, discomfort, and even a little blood in his urine. At first, he was embarrassed. But eventually, he brought it up during a checkup. Turns out, it was a UTI, a urinary tract infection. And believe it or not, they're not just a women's issue. Infections like this are far more common in older adults, men and women alike, and often go unnoticed until they become painful. So what's going on here? Why does aging make you more vulnerable to this kind of thing? Well, it's a mix of factors. As we age, our immune systems naturally weaken, making it harder for your body to fight off bacteria. At the same time, your skin and mucous membranes, especially around the genital area, become more fragile. For women, lower estrogen levels change the pH balance, making the vaginal area less protective. For men, the prostate can enlarge, putting pressure on the bladder and increasing the risk of residual urine, which is a breeding ground for bacteria. On top of that, things like reduced mobility, incontinence, and even medications can all add to the risk. But here's the good news, you have more control over this than you think. First, hydration is key. Many older adults avoid drinking too much water because they fear leaks or constant bathroom trips. But holding back only concentrates your urine and increases infection risk. So drink, not gallons, but a steady flow of water throughout the day. Your body will thank you. Next, take a closer look at your hygiene, but do it gently. Harsh soaps, scented wipes, powders, these can strip away protective barriers and actually increase irritation. Stick to warm water for daily cleansing, and avoid scrubbing or overwashing. And clothing matters too, choose breathable fabrics like cotton, and change undergarments daily, especially after sweating. Now here's a tip many people overlook, urinate after intimacy. That small step helps flush out any bacteria that may have moved closer to the urethra during contact. And if you or your partner use lubricants, make sure they're water-based and free of unnecessary chemicals or fragrances. Sometimes, the very products we think are helping can make things worse. And then there's the temptation, especially if you've had a few infections, to ask your doctor for antibiotics right away. But here's where you need to pause and breathe. While antibiotics have their place, overusing them can lead to resistance, and they don't always fix the root cause. In many cases, low-dose prevention strategies like probiotics or vaginal estrogen for women, or natural supplements like D-mannose or cranberry extract, can help prevent recurrence safely. Always talk to your healthcare provider, of course, but go into those conversations knowing that you have options. Rita, 88 and full of spunk, told me that ever since she started a daily routine of taking her probiotics and doing a short pelvic floor stretch in the mornings, she hasn't had a single infection in over a year. She said it made her feel like she had her life back. And that's the real point here: little changes, done consistently, can give you back a sense of control and comfort in your own body. Because when irritation or infection strike, it's not just a physical nuisance. It can affect your confidence, your willingness to go out, your sleep, even your relationship. You start to feel on edge, anticipating the next flare-up. But you don't have to live in that space. Your body may be aging, yes, but it's still wise, still responsive, and still capable of healing when given the chance. Now, if you're feeling like this is all adding up, the dryness, the leaks, the shifting sexual energy, the infection risks, just know, it's okay. You're learning. You're adjusting. And you're doing it with grace. And that's something to be proud of. We're going to explore a change that few people expect until they see it with their own eyes, how the actual structure and appearance of your private parts can shift with age, sometimes in ways that can feel startling. But more importantly, we'll talk about how to adapt and care for your body through those visible and invisible changes, and how to reconnect with your confidence, no matter what the mirror shows. Now let's talk about something that's rarely mentioned in polite conversation, but it's something many people start to notice after 80, physical changes in the structure and appearance of your private parts. It might feel like one day everything looks and feels familiar, and then the next, things have shifted. Sagging, shrinking, loosening, even bulging in places you weren't expecting. And while no one's exactly showing off these areas at the dinner table, the emotional impact of those changes runs deeper than you might think. Let me tell you about Evelyn. She's 85, sharp, and as elegant as ever. But during a recent routine exam, her doctor told her she was experiencing something called pelvic organ prolapse. She was stunned. "I always took care of myself," she said. "I never imagined something like that could happen to me. And yet, it happens to so many women. And yes, sometimes men too, but hardly anyone talks about it. Why? Because we've been taught to feel shame around anything that changes or falls out of place. But shame has no place here. Only understanding. So what's really going on? Well, over the years, the muscles and connective tissues that hold up your pelvic organs, your bladder, uterus, rectum, begin to lose tone. Just like the muscles in your arms or legs, they weaken. For women, this can result in a feeling of heaviness, pressure, or something bulging down below. You might notice it when you're standing, lifting something, or even coughing. For men, the change might be more subtle, a slight retraction or shrinkage, or even discomfort around the testicles or groin that didn't used to be there. And yes, the penis itself can also appear smaller with age due to decreased blood flow and loss of elasticity in the tissues. Again, it's normal. But it can be unsettling. Let's be honest, no one wants to look down and feel like a stranger in their own body. That disconnect, that sense of, what happened to me? It's real. And it can chip away at your confidence, whether or not you ever talk about it out loud. But here's the truth, your body may be changing, but you haven't lost yourself. You haven't lost your worth, your identity, or your right to feel good in your own skin. So what can you do? First, don't panic. These changes don't automatically mean surgery, and they don't mean you've done anything wrong. Many people find relief and support with pelvic floor exercises, which we've touched on earlier. These simple, daily contractions can help re-engage and strengthen the internal muscles that hold everything in place. And they work. Even in your 80s and beyond, you can build strength, it's never too late. In some cases, doctors may recommend a pessary, a small device inserted to support the organs. Or lifestyle changes like avoiding heavy lifting, treating chronic coughs, or managing constipation, all of which reduce pressure on the pelvic floor. And for men, if you've noticed retraction, loss of girth, or testicular changes, know that some of this is simply due to decreased collagen in circulation. Staying active, doing light cardio, maintaining a healthy weight, all of this supports better blood flow and tissue health. You might not reverse every change, but you can absolutely preserve function and feel better in your body. Let me share a story here that always brings a smile. Jim, 88, a retired postman, said he used to feel embarrassed about the way things looked down there. It was like everything was shrinking up, he joked. But after working with a physical therapist and starting light daily stretching and breathing exercises, not only did he feel more control, he felt reconnected. I stopped seeing it as something broken, he told me. I started seeing it as something worth caring for. That's the shift. That's the magic. Not trying to chase your 40-year-old body, but learning how to support your current one with patience, kindness, and maybe even a little curiosity. Now I want to gently remind you of something, and this part is important. What you see doesn't define who you are. Sagging doesn't mean you're weak. Shrinking doesn't mean you've lost value. These are physical signs of a life well lived, a body that has carried you through decades of experience, wisdom, connection, heartbreak, and healing. And while it's okay to mourn the changes, it's also okay to celebrate your resilience. As we get ready for the final part of this conversation, I want you to sit with this thought: what if these changes were not something to be ashamed of, but something to care for? What if your body, even now, is still offering you information, still inviting you to listen? Because we're going to bring all of this together in one honest, heartfelt reflection. We'll talk about the emotional toll these private changes can take, not just physically, but in your spirit. And how to gently reclaim your power, one small choice at a time. With encouragement, clarity, and a personal message just for you. At the heart of it all. After everything we've talked about, the dryness, the leaks, the shifts in desire, the irritation, the physical changes in shape or structure, there's one more layer we need to touch gently. And that's the emotional impact of all of this. Because behind every symptom is a story. And behind every story is a human being trying to stay confident, connected, and whole in a body that doesn't always feel familiar anymore. Maybe you've experienced this firsthand. You look in the mirror and don't quite recognize the person staring back. Or you avoid mirrors altogether. You pull away from affection, not because you don't want it, but because you're worried about how you'll be seen, how you'll feel, how your body might react. These are tender moments, and they matter. And I want you to hear me clearly: you are not alone in this. Not in your confusion. Not in your frustration. Not in your fear. But here's the powerful truth that so many people overlook in this season of life: your body is not betraying you, it's evolving. Every change, every adjustment, every new sensation is simply your body saying, I'm still here. I'm still working. I'm still trying to support you. Aging doesn't erase your worth. It doesn't silence your sensuality. It doesn't make you invisible, unless you start to believe that lie. So let's reframe. Let's pull back the curtain on what it really means to age in these intimate ways. You're not broken. You're not past your prime. You're in a phase of life that deserves care, attention, and compassion, just like any other. And yes, that includes your private parts. They're not taboo. They're not gross. They're part of you. They're part of your story. And they deserve your kindness. Now, if you're a caregiver, a daughter, son, or loved one helping someone through this stage of life, I want to speak to you too. Please, approach these changes with patience. Understand that behind every awkward conversation or withdrawn moment might be a quiet struggle for dignity. Don't laugh it off. Don't dismiss it. Just listen. Offer help without taking over. Your presence matters more than your solutions ever could. And for you, the senior, the one navigating these changes day to day. Remember this, you still get to choose how you show up in your body. You still get to ask questions, try new routines, have new experiences. Whether it's using a new moisturizer, trying pelvic floor exercises, exploring intimacy in a new way, or simply saying to yourself, this is my body, and I care for it, that is power. That is resilience. To breathe, together. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. You've just absorbed a lot. Not just information, but truth. You've faced uncomfortable topics with courage. And that deserves recognition. So let's gently review the key takeaways. Yes, your skin and tissue may thin, and dryness might appear, but it's manageable. Yes, bladder leaks happen, but there are tools and exercises to support you. Yes, your intimate energy may shift, but connection and closeness are still yours. Yes, infections can increase, but prevention and awareness go a long way. And yes, your private parts may look and feel different, but you're still you. And you're still worthy of care. Now, if anything today made you think, I wish I knew this earlier, or, that really hit home, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments. What surprised you most? What's something you wish more people talked about openly? Your voice might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to Everyday Ageless, where we speak about aging with honesty, humor, and heart. No shame, no sugarcoating, just real conversations to help you live fully, no matter your number. Give this video a like if it supported you, that helps more people find it and feel a little less alone. Before we part, I want to leave you with something small but mighty, a final nudge of hope. You are not in decline. You are in refinement. Your body may be changing, but your wisdom is deepening. And there is still so much beauty in your becoming. You've weathered years of laughter, heartbreak, love, grief, joy, and wonder. You carry stories in every line, every scar, every step. And that includes the parts of you most people never see. As we close, here's a quote I love, one that feels perfect for this moment: do not regret growing older. It is a privilege denied to many. So wear your age like the honor it is. Care for your body like it's your lifelong companion, because it is. And never forget, you are not just aging, you are aging agelessly. If you're ready to keep learning, keep laughing, and keep living with purpose, 7 signs you're aging in reverse, backed by science. It's filled with tips that might just surprise you, in all the best ways. Until next time, take care of yourself. You're doing better than you think.